2021 Wilson County Commissioners Court is now in session. If y'all would join our County Clerk, Eva Martinez, in reciting the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom, and the power,
and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Agenda item number 3, public comments.
We have none at this time.
Okay. And agenda item number 4, certificates of completion and awards.
We have the proclamation.
Okay. And this, I'm going to turn it over to Courtney White with our AgriLife office, and she is going to, you have a proclamation?
Yes.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't know, every year we have National 4-H Week. It's the first week in October, so next week. And that week is just to celebrate everything about 4-H and what we have going on. So today I brought with me a few of our shining examples of what 4-H can do, and some of our most involved 4-H kiddos. So I'm actually going to turn it over to them so they can do the work.
Howdy, y'all. My name is Luke Scribner. I am the president of the Wilson County Council. My main 4-H project is food and nutrition. And a little interesting thing about my 4-H project is Hayden and I are actually going to be going to National 4-H Quiz Bowl competition this January.
Cool.
I just heard my name is Hayden Hayosky. I'm the vice president of the Wilson County Council, and my main projects are archery, robotics, and entomology. I like to do a little decision making and food and nutrition. And yeah, we're going to go to nationals.
Hi, my name is Joshua Scribner. I'm the treasurer of the Wilson County Council, and my main projects are food, nutrition, and entomology.
So as Ms. Courtney said, we have National 4-H Week this upcoming week, and part of that is one day 4-H. So what we're going to be doing for that is we will be helping to clean up at the Wilson County Expo Center and make it nice for exhibitors and anyone who uses that facility. So now for the proclamation. Whereas the Wilson County Commissioners Court is proud to honor the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service for 114 years of providing experience-based education to youngsters throughout the Lone Star State. And whereas this annual program, which seeks to provide a learning experience for the whole child, including head, heart, hands, and health, helps young Texans to acquire knowledge, develop life skills, and form attitudes to enable them to become self-directed, productive, and contributing members of our society. And whereas it is more than 550,000 urban, suburban, and rural youth participants ranging in age from 8 to 19 hail from diverse ethnic, socioeconomic backgrounds and truly represent a cross-section of the state. And whereas the program undoubtedly could not have achieved the success that it has today were it not for the service of its more than 22,000 volunteers who have given generously of their time, talents, energies, and resources to the youth of Texas. And whereas throughout its proud history, the 4-H program has developed positive role models for countless Texans through its innovative and inspiring programs, continues to build character to instill the values that have made our state strong and great. Now therefore be it resolved, and the Wilson County Commissioners Court hereby designated October 3rd to the 9th, 2021 as National 4-H Week in Texas, and commend the 4-H Youth Development Program of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service and the many men and women who have made the program a success.
Thank you. Can we have the proclamation. Okay. What we've got is this, we did this under certificates of completion and awards because it didn't get it on the agenda in time. Catherine, would there be any problem with us taking action on this proclamation?
I think it'll be fine.
And that way
I'll make a motion, we approve it, Judge.
I'll second it.
motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Fowle, that we approve the proclamation, National 4-H Week 2021, which is October the 3rd through the 9th. And, because we would not have another Commissioners Court meeting till after that. So, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, so, y'all want to come up and take a picture with? Can y'all get it all?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
And congratulations on making nationals.
Good job.
Nothing else under certificates? Okay, so we're moving along to agenda item number 5. Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on South Texas trail riders to use the lot beside the sheriff's office for an overnight stay. This is the same group that were staying out at what's now the Expo Center, the old show barn. And for the last couple of years, they've been staying out at the lot beside the sheriff's office. Never have said anything to anybody, I don't guess, and they decided this year they better make it official. And the night they're gonna stay is February the 9th. And another thing they're asking for, Sheriff, is an escort when they get into the county. I don't know, usually the constables are pretty good about escorting them. So if you can get the,
Okay, can you send me his contact so I can find out what day they'll enter?
I will do that. But what they're asking for is permission to spend the night Wednesday, February the 9th, in the lot beside the sheriff's office, the empty lot.
You don't have a problem with that?
I'll make a motion, we approve it, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Perdola, that we allow them to use the lot next to the sheriff's office. And should we make this a perpetual deal? That way we won't have to do this every year? Because they're probably, the day will change, but nothing else will. It won't be February the 9th next year. It may be February the 9th, but I doubt it. It may be the 10th or the 8th or.
Makes sense.
Okay, so, they'll allow South Texas trail riders to use the lot next to the sheriff's office for their stay, if their annual stay for their San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo Trail Ride. Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we got that passed. You want that? It's got his contact information on it. Okay, agenda item number 6, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and approve times and dates for regular Commissioners Court meeting. And they're the same, the second and fourth Monday of every month, except Monday, December 26th will be held Tuesday, December 27th. Everything else will be the same as it's always been.
I'll make a motion to approve the time and dates for the regular Commissioners Court meetings for 2022.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Perdola, that we approve the Commissioners Court meetings. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I was gonna pass these out and didn't do it. Okay. Moving along to agenda item number 7, discuss and take, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on holidays and paydays for 2022. And everything is pretty much the same except the date we usually take off for New Year's Eve has been changed to June the 20th for Juneteenth, Monday, June the 20th for Juneteenth. That is a new national holiday.
What changed to that?
What's that?
What did you say changed to that?
The New Year's Eve, we always took off New Year's Eve.
Okay.
We changed New Year's Eve to the Juneteenth. Now you can't start partying early. You'll have to wait till you get off. Okay, also on this is paydays will be set. Friday paychecks will be mailed, okay. But every other Friday except November the 23rd will be, it's a Wednesday instead of that Friday in 2022.
Thanks, good. I make a motion, we approve these as presented, Judge.
Second?
Okay, motion to approve the holidays and the paydays.
Yes.
Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we have new holidays and we have paydays. Okay. Agenda item number 8, Richard L. Jackson County Judge. Discuss and take action on Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation, and we have with us Jennifer Fernandez from Guadalupe.
Longest name ever.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy and dignity, security and humanity due to systematic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, including abuse to children and the elderly. And whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group or groups of people, but cut across all economic, racial, and societal barriers and are supported by societal indifferences. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole and here in this community. Guadalupe Valley Family Violence Shelter answered 903 crisis calls and had 2,255 shelter days from September 2020 to August 2021. And whereas women are not the only targets, men, young children, and the elderly are also victims. And sadly, emotional scars are often permanent. And domestic violence costs United States companies at least $3.5 billion in work lost time, increased healthcare costs, higher turnover, and lower productivity. And whereas it is battered women themselves who have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace and equality to the home. Now therefore, in official recognition, we the undersigned do hereby proclaim October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Wilson County and call all citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our effort to prevent domestic violence, thereby strengthening the communities in which we live.
Thank you, Jennifer. You have anything else you'd like to add?
No, I would just like to thank Wilson County for their ongoing support of our efforts to serve women and men and children who are victims of domestic violence in Wilson County. We have, as you know, our office opened here in Wilson County that's available for victims to come in. And it's available 24/7 through the crisis hotline. We're also very proud of the work that we've done, partnering with law enforcement, prosecutors' offices, probation departments, and others to create our coordinated community response team to strengthen the overall response to domestic violence in our county.
Well, thank you.
Good job.
For the new commissioners, Jennifer was with the county for several years, had many different roles, the last one in which she was the investigator, family violence investigator in the county attorney's office. And then we lost her to Guadalupe Valley. Okay. And she did an excellent job and does an excellent job. We thank you for what y'all do. And it helps a lot because we have the office here to where instead of every time something has to happen, they take them to Guadalupe County, they can take them to this office, and if they need to have overnight accommodations, then they can take them to Guadalupe County. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we approve the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month 2021 in Wilson County. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, and thank you. You want to get a picture? Sheriff, you ought to get in this one.
Only if the camera's insured.
Looks like it's a phone, so they can do that. Thank y'all. You want a copy of the proclamation, or the original, or whatever? Okay. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 9, Richard L. Jackson County Judge. 9A, presentation and briefing by Workforce Solutions Alamo, Mr. Adrian Lopez, but we have Mr. Don Wallace regarding the state of Workforce Solutions Alamo. So you can, wherever you think that you can get heard. If you think you can do it there, that's a good place.
Well, good morning. First off, Adrian Lopez wasn't able to be here this morning. He sent Christina Paljua, and I have Lynn Thompson here representing us. Thank you guys for coming out. A couple months ago, I was at a convenience store getting some gas, and a young man came up and asked me if I knew where the unemployment office was. And I thought, wow, how unique is that to single me out to ask that question. Then I realized he just read my name tag. Well, that concerned me because it doesn't say unemployment office. It says Workforce Solutions. But he interpreted that to be the unemployment office. There's no such thing as an unemployment office. We don't have an unemployment office in the state of Texas. We do have workforce centers. And these centers help adults, they assist them in retraining or upskilling to find better opportunities. They have these programs for these adults to get them better opportunities. We have programs for our veterans, taking advantage of the training they received when they went into the military, or if they want to cross-train, retrain, upskill to find better opportunities. They've served us, and we're honored to serve them. We have programs for our special needs folks. This past summer, we put hundreds of people to work with special needs. They're now the third largest minority group in America. And if you haven't looked at your folks with special needs, you're really missing out on something. But the program I'm here to talk about today, the program that puts food on the table of the Wallace household, is our youth program. This is youth with barriers, youth that that are 16 to 24 years old with a barrier. They can be in school or out of school, but they have some sort of barrier. Now, when I first heard about this, probably like many of you are thinking, oh, they have a criminal background. And yes, they could have a criminal background, because if you're 16 years old and you're smoking on school property, you have a criminal background. It could be a felony offense. We do have some of those. But we have people that, maybe they have teenage pregnancy. Maybe they have, they're just on the wrong social, economic end of the spectrum. So we assist these young people in finding employment so that they have career opportunities. We pay their salary for 3 months while they work in the community. We hold their liability so that we take all the risk, and then we ask the employers to provide the operational guidance, supervision, and the training for these individuals. We've recently started our sector-based model where we're looking for specific career opportunities for these folks. These are positions that are high-demand occupations where they have a career opportunity, not just working at some fast food place, but something that gives them a career opportunity. In this county, we have identified those as medical, education, and government, which is why we're here today. We're asking you to partner with us to help us, help them, help you, help the community. We'll pay their salary for 3 months. They'll work somewhere in the county, wherever job descriptions or places that you feel that you could use assistance. We can put the youth there working, gaining that experience. They gain valuable resume material and experience, while you get the opportunity to teach them, train them, and have a talent pipeline for workers coming into the county government. So you have somebody, let's say, that works in your human resources department. And I single that out because everywhere I go, every human resources manager tells me, if I had somebody that would just catch the phones for me, I could get through the day. We can do that. We can put somebody in there to help catch the phones and learn about what it's like to work in the human resources office. And then you can evaluate them for 90 days to see if you want them as an employee for the county for years to come. So we're asking you today to partner with us in this endeavor to help us, help you, help them, help the community. On behalf of our CEO, Mr. Adrian Lopez, and staff of Workforce Solutions Alamo, I'm Dan Wallace. I appreciate you allowing us the opportunity to make the presentation. Are there any questions I can answer for anyone?
What's the process you have to go through to get?
Well, to get for the worker bee to come over here, or?
Yes, like if one of the commissioners decided they had an opening, or not an opening, but a need for somebody and out there at one of their yards.
What we need to do is to get the agreement signed today with the county. And then if one of the commissioners needed an assistant, an administrative assistant, our career navigators will look through the people that they have that want to work in government and that want to work in administration, and then they would look at those people. The commissioner would then be able to interview that person they wanted, and then we would put them to work.
Well, working for one of the commissioners would probably not be administrative.
It'd be more like labor.
Whatever position you need, whether if it was at the county, Parks Department, if they were gonna be cutting grass and, mending fences, that sort of thing. Well, we would look for those workers that wanted to do that type of work, and then we would allow the employer or the commissioner to interview that individual, make sure they felt that they were a right fit, and go from there.
Are these typically Wilson County people we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And this would be for the other offices also, or departments.
16 to 24. Now, we will comply with whatever the employer, so if you said, well, our people
Yeah.
are 18.
Right.
Then we don't send 18-year-olds.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely, we've worked with several libraries in the region. And they make some of the greatest employees there, what I understand.
So you pay their entire wage, benefits, whatever, insurance, et cetera, so there's actually no cost to the county, correct?
We pay their wages and we hold the liability for 3 months while they're working with you. At that point, there's no requirement for the county to employ them. Now, obviously, they can them, we want them, that's the goal. But there's no requirement for anything after that because these individuals get valuable resume material. If you don't have anything to put on your resume, it's tough to get a job. Well, now they may have that and maybe a letter of recommendation. So then when they go to the city or when they go to some employer elsewhere, they can say, I've worked here doing this.
So in furtherance of that, so just for example, if we had somebody come in, they worked for 3 months, but we don't have a job opening, what happens after that? Could they come back again, or do they cycle to somewhere else, or how does that work?
Well, at that point, as there's no requirement for you to employ them, there's no requirement for them to stay. So they're gonna take their talents and go wherever it's best for them to go.
So they could potentially stay longer than 3 months if they wanted to?
Not through our program.
Not through your program.
But if you wanted to hire them, you could. If you knew, and I'll just go back to that human resources clerk, if you knew that position was gonna open up in 6 months, you know what this individual has, what they bring to the table, and you can put them in your talent pipeline and allow them to apply when the job opens up.
Are your folks pretty much spread throughout the county, or is it more Floresville area or Livonia? Or?
They can be spread throughout the county, but more than likely you'll get more people here in Floresville.
My name is Christina Castle. I'm the Government Affairs and Public Relations for Workforce Solutions Alamo. We serve 13 counties, and we have 16 centers shown 13 counties. We have 5 in San Antonio. So we can allow them to travel in any of the counties that we serve. So if they want to travel all the way to San Antonio and, have experience there, they can certainly do that. If somebody in San Antonio wants to come and travel here and get the experience here, they can certainly do that. So it's anywhere in the 13 counties that we serve.
So is that the same as ACOG, the same counties, basically?
I'm just curious, what's the percentage of the hiring after they complete the 3 months program? Do y'all know?
The percentage of the hiring after we complete our program, I don't have that answer. We have a great many people that get hired on. Through government, it normally has to be a posted position, so the timing has to be exactly perfect. But in other positions, they're looking for somebody to come on board. They use this as a way to evaluate that individual, make sure that they can learn, and at the end of that, and we have a high rate for that.
I've got Catherine looking at the agreement.
And yes, it is.
It's,
Fine.
Is there a certain amount of pay we got to pay those employees if we, they've been here 3 months and they,
Whatever your pay rate is for the position, what you pay them. We're gonna pay them $12 an hour while we're employing them. But after that, if you had a position that paid $15 an hour, if that's what you want to pay them, you could. If you had a position that only paid $10 an hour, you could offer them that. And then they would make a decision whether they want to accept it or not.
we've got our own pay scale that we would be starting them at.
What happens, for example, if somebody just isn't working out? How's that handled?
Our career navigators, because they are our employees, and our career navigators act as a supervisor for them, an operational supervisor for them, for that capacity. So let's say that they just weren't showing up to work on time, and showing up to work to open their doors and greet customers at 8 o'clock was paramount. It had to happen. And this person couldn't get there on time for whatever reason. We're gonna counsel them, we're gonna work with them, we're gonna make sure that they're meeting your standard. However, if they do, that's great, we bypass that, we can move on. If they don't meet the standard, then we'll look at reassignment at your request.
So, and kind of to follow along with that, I guess you've vetted most of these folks to figure out they fit in, they have their own transportation and that sort of thing?
Yes, we bring them on board, we kind of onboard them to begin with, to find out everything about them, what their needs are, what their barriers are, make sure they qualify for a program. Then from there, we look to how they fit in with you. So if you were looking for somebody to dig ditches at the county roads, and we have somebody that wants to work in an administrative position, we're not going to put that position over, or that person over here for that position. It's going to be in the areas that they want to work.
I'll entertain a motion that we enter into an agreement with Workforce Solutions for,
I'll make a motion
Yes.
to enter into agreement with Alamo Workforce Solutions.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Perdola, we enter into an agreement with Workforce Solutions, work experience, worksite agreement. And then we can, I guess individually, our elected officials or department heads can, and I see Nikki's over there chomping at the bits now.
She's got her card out already.
Make their own
So would that
agreements and
go
everything.
through our human resources
What's that?
office? Would all of this go through Jalen or it wouldn't go through Jalen until after the fact, or
Yeah,
how do
they're-
we keep?
Our human resources person's
Yeah.
not here, but,
Is that who you normally deal with?
That's normally who we deal with. We find out the job description from
Yeah.
Human Resources, and then we go from there.
Okay,
In prior agreements similar to this, that's what we've done.
okay.
We've gone through them.
So I can get with Jalen when she comes.
and y'all have the insurance?
We carry the insurance.
Okay, until, as long as that person's employed with, or working with us, I say employed with us, working with us. Okay,
While they're working.
They're working for them.
Yes.
You were to hire them afterwards, and they would become county employees.
yes. Okay. Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We thank you, Whooping. And let me ask you this. We have B, discuss and take action on presentation by Lynn Thompson regarding the youth program. Did you cover that, or does?
Covered that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's,
If you have something to say, Ms. Thompson, go right ahead.
So I'm actually the BSR for Wilson County. I'm fairly new, so I'm getting familiar with the county. I'm really excited to be here and see faces, and I really hope that we can build a relationship, not only to help the community, but I think overall, it'll help in a way of keeping residents within the county as well. If we build, if we create these clear pathways, more than likely they're gonna stay within the county, and that eliminates the decrease in the population as well. I also wanted to add, I know you had mentioned, asked about the vehicle. We also do, provide support services. If they need help with work attire, interview attire, gas cards, we also provide that as well. So, I really look forward to working with you, and John Wallace will also be, he'll be great with me as well. He's a great partner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along to Agenda Item 10, Richard O. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on resolution authorizing county grant, Texas Department of Agriculture, Texas Feeding Texans Home Delivered Meal Grant Program. And I'm going to read this before I mention anything else. Department of Agriculture, Texas Feeding Texas Home Delivered Meal Grant Program. Resolution authorizing county grant program year 2022. A resolution of the Wilson County, a resolution of the County of Wilson County, Texas, certifying that the county has made a grant to Comal County Senior Citizens Foundation organization, or an organization that provides home-delivered meals to homebound persons in the county who are elderly and have a disability, or certifying that the county has approved the organization's accounting system or physical agent. Whereas the organization desires to apply for grant funds from the Texas Department of Agriculture to supply and extend existing services for homebound persons in the county who are elderly or have a disability pursuant to the Home Delivered Meal Grant Program. And whereas the program rules require the county and the organization in which the organization is providing home-delivered meal services to make a grant to the organization in order for the organization to be eligible to receive program grant funds. And whereas the program rules require the county to approve the organization's accounting system or physical agent in order for the organization to be eligible to receive program grant funds. And whereas the county recognizes Ken Lowry, Executive Director organized official, as an official of the organization applying for the home-delivered meal grant for the Texas Department of Agriculture. Be it resolved by the county, Section 1, the county hereby certifies it has made a grant to the organization in the amount of $2,059 to be used for September, 1st of September 2021 through the 31st of August 2022. Section 2, the county hereby certifies the organization provides home-delivered meals to homebound persons in the county who are elderly or have a disability. And county hereby certifies that it has approved the organization's accounting system or fiscal agent which meets fiscal management system requirements as set forth in the Texas Grant Management Standards promulgated by the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. Okay, pass the affirmative vote on 27th day of September 2021. Okay, this is for the ensuing year. They have been here for the last 2 years, and we have not made the contribution. When Community Council of South Texas stopped doing it, they refunded and this was in 2018, the $2,059. We in turn transferred or made the check to Comal County Senior Citizen Foundation, and then we didn't do anything else. We didn't do the proclamation, I don't guess, and we didn't. So they have been here for 2 years without our part of the funding, which is a minute part of the funding, but to get their part of the funds from the Department of Agriculture, we should have had our proclamation in. So we're gonna have to do back dates of 2019 and 2020, and then this is for now. So this resolution is for $2,059, and we have, where did I do? Oh, well, the back 2 years of 2019 and 2020 are also $2,059.
But we're only approving the one today.
What's that?
We're only approving the one
No, we're
today.
approving all 3 of them. Brenda's already got the money set aside to, this is budgeted next year's.
Actually, we budgeted every year, but we never had that.
We never had
in place
this and
in order
never-
to pay them.
But are we doing other proclamations at some point in time? Or that covers all of it?
This covers it all. Or we're just catching up from,
Yeah.
Okay.
And that
Gotcha.
covers through next year as well.
we have to give our grant to them for them to be eligible for the grant from
Yeah.
the Department of Agriculture.
Did he say how much?
1,059.
And I'll entertain a motion for all 3 years.
I'll make a motion, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner Wiley,
Second?
second by Commissioner Martin, that we pay the grant for this year and get caught up for the last 2 years. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so
Could you repeat the dollar amount we're talking about?
$2,059.
Times 3.
That's for 3 years or?
No, that's for 1 year. That's for this year.
I think it's.
For each of the years.
7,
Okay, good.
if my math is correct. My little math.
Well, I'm out of proclamations now, I don't know what to do. Okay. Moving right along to agenda item 11, Paul Fowle, Commissioner Precinct 2. Propel Wave, give information on online action.
Auction.
Auction.
It says action, A-C-T-I-O-N. So,
Here, I'll just pass them down. Of course, I'll keep all. There you go.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me come out and present Purple Wave to you. My name is Martin Shue, and I work with Purple Wave Auction. I'm the territory manager for pretty much South Texas. Reason for me wanting to come out, I want to present more of what we do. We are an online auction service. This is for any type of equipment. Equipment can be everything from a wheel loaders, other equipment like that. But we also work with stuff as odd as even asphalt plants, sand vacuum plants, other items like that, all the way down to even skid steer loaders, the attachments that go with them, as well as vehicles, everything from half-ton to one-ton trucks, the bigger trucks, dump trucks, as well as bucket trucks. The way we operate, again, is 100% online. Now, that brings an advantage in our pricing structure, but it also brings an advantage of being able to, if you're selling an item, it allows us to be able to present that item on a national scale as well as an international scale. So you're getting more people to those items, we're bringing more people to the market to see those items that are gonna have an interest in those items. From a buying standpoint, it's much straightforward and simple. We do have quality assets, we have a lot of assets that come on, probably about a third of those assets that come to our website are in the realm of late model, low hours, or low mileage assets that can be of a lot of use, but you get that depreciated value as opposed to buying brand new. And in today's market, where buying brand new can be very difficult because of being able to access the parts and everything like that, sometimes that's a better option. Now, how we bring this service to y'all to help y'all out, our main job is to help y'all be able to manage your equipment. At some point, that equipment has to move on. It's gonna have to go on to the next life stage. Worst thing you wanna have is a piece of equipment that's sitting, and when you need it, all of a sudden it's breaking down and it's not operating. We wanna be able to help you move that equipment at a strategic time frame, so that when you bring in new equipment, you can always have equipment that's doing the job it needs to do when it needs to do it. The way we are set up, if you're looking to sell items, our primary method of doing that is we come out, we being me primarily, I'm your point of contact. I will come out, discuss what you have, what your expectations are, and how to move forward on that. If selling your item with us is not the best option for you, because maybe you can get a little more use out of it, you have somebody else that might be interested in it, I'm gonna go ahead and discuss that with you. And if it's not the best option to sell with us, then I'm gonna recommend you go with what is your best option. Well, we wanna be able to help you move that equipment in a way that's more efficient for you. Well, the nice thing is, when we do move equipment, when we sell that equipment for you, it's a turnkey service. We come out, we take the pictures, we collect all the information off of it. If it's a vehicle that has a title associated with it, we'll take that title and we'll distribute it for you. We don't take ownership of it, we just take possession of it in order to be able to distribute it for you on your behalf. That way you don't have to mess with all of that issues and everything else. So what's the only thing we might need from you? Just be available on the phone. Have somebody available to answer any questions about the asset, because you will have people that are gonna ask questions. Obviously, they're trying to buy something online and they may have some questions. So having somebody that knows about the piece of equipment to answer those, somebody can be available to look over that piece of equipment. So if somebody wants to come out and inspect the piece, you know, you wanna have somebody there. You don't want somebody just jumping on the vehicle and doing whatever. And then finally, when you do have the asset is actually sold, the buyer wants to come out and you'd be able to have somebody that can confirm, based on a paid invoice, that that person is in fact the seller, so that they can remove the asset. That's the nice thing as well, now that I mentioned it, the buyer is fully responsible for moving the asset. It doesn't put you all out in any way, shape, or form. So that makes it, I think, a very valuable asset to, I think, what all of our counties around here can use. That kind of leads me to the next thing. Money runs a lot of things. So what's the question on us? How do we make money? How do we do this? It's $100 per lot. That's our standard fee that we offer on everyone else, because we do sell for government entities as well as private sector. So it's $100 per lot. So let's say you have a dump truck you want to sell, that's going to cost you $100. You have a skid steer loader that has an attachment, that's going to cost you $100. Something to keep in mind, that might be not an asset. If it's not going to bring the value, something to think about when you're looking at going with it. However, better quality assets, more assets, a larger package. For our government entities, we can do as little as $0. That is something we've worked with before, and we've done before, and we believe it works very well. So then the next question is, okay, how do we make money? It always comes up. We do what is basic standard for the industry. We have a 10% buyer's premium. So let's say somebody buys an asset off of our website for $1,000. We're gonna add another $100 to that. The person's gonna pay $1,100 plus the applicable sales tax. So that's where we're making our money. And that's how that works. So, well, some industries, some other companies may not be able to do that. Well, the fact that we're 100% online reduces our overhead. We have one location that's in Manhattan, Kansas. Now that I mentioned that, let me tell you why it's called Purple Wave. Because of Kansas State. Our CEO is a K-State man, came up with Purple Wave, and hence the name Purple Wave Auction. So that's how that went. But no, that's pretty much all I have. Before I wanted to mention one other thing, but before I do y'all have any questions for me? Sounds like I covered everything.
If he'd have been from Alabama, would it have been the Crimson Tide?
Probably, yes, it probably would.
Burnt orange sounds better, but.
Yeah, there you go. No, but anybody else? Speak now, Harry, hold your peace. Let's do an auction right now. Here we go. All right, one other thing I did want to mention, and it was in the back of the handout I gave you. This is a, what they call MAPS program. We are associate members with Texas Asphalt Paving Association, and what they're trying to do is provide a educational service, a conference that they're going to put together to educate on how to build roads, basically. How can you go in and fix a pothole that's going to last for years to come, rather than having to redo them regularly. It's just the systems of how everything works. We work a lot with TxDOT to be able to provide that information, what TxDOT is looking for and needing, and how to make these, how to make the roads better for everyone in Wilson County as well as across the state of Texas. And, but I do know we do strongly encourage that if this is something that really interests you, I think it's going to be a great value to you and really be able to help you move forward. Any other questions?
I can just say that I sold a trailer and a pickup through Purple Wave, and I got one phone call asking about,
About the assets?
but other than that, they took care of everything when it
And we
was
got
sold.
paid already.
Huh?
Yeah.
And we got paid already.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And
So-
again,
All
like
good news.
with Paul, I'm your point of contact. You got my card in there. At any point, during any time, you give me a call. Well, I work with you. I'm your point of contact. We work with Manhattan, Kansas, make sure everything runs smoothly, runs great. We want this to be a service not only for y'all, but also the people of Wilson County. Because I know that's where this ultimately goes. So, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We want to be a service.
Are you out of San Antonio? Is that where you are? Or?
Well, just west of San Antonio, do you know where Rio Medina area is?
Yes?
That's where I currently live.
Okay.
I grew up in Honda, rather than Stockton.
That's a nice town.
Well, thank you. Some people don't think that.
And I will say that Purple Wave, but when I was looking for online auction through our Auditors Association, they were one of the companies that several counties use for their auctions.
Sounds promising.
How does that work if we want to buy something through Purple Wave? You know, normally we have to go out for bids or whatever, but
That, I'm not sure. Probably have to get with Kathy, and we would have to look at,
you know, if there was a piece of equipment that we saw,
if we wanted to purchase.
if we wanted to
something.
purchase it, you know, we have to, if it's over 50,000, we have to go out for bids, basically.
Yes, unless they somehow fall within one of these associations of
Like one of the co-op.
sellers, yeah, what, you know, which, you know what I'm talking about?
I can do some,
I need to get with you a little more on that, just to be
yeah.
sure I understand.
Okay. Well, we belong to several massive organizations where,
Like the buy board?
yeah, like
Buy
buy
board,
board kind of thing, and,
And, well, I'm glad you brought that up. That has come up quite often. Buy board's a great option. Problem is, they don't work so well for us. Remember, I can do it for free if we get good enough assets. The problem is, if we go with buy board, they charge us. They charge us a certain amount of fee, which guess what? We have to, by just nature of business, we have to pass that on. By doing it this way, where I come out and present Purple Wave, and you'll have that chance to have those assets, everything that you know about us and how we do things, have the pricing and all that. It allows you to be able to compare that back without having to go ahead and have the extra charge.
Right, that's you doing the work, but us buying something from them, I would have to check on that all.
You know, if there's a big piece of equipment or something that
Right.
we wanted to buy, you know.
Well, it might be possible to look at both sides and kind of see which would be more beneficial. I mean, look at buy board and then look here and see
Buy
which
boards,
would benefit.
at least my dealing, buy board's more new. This would be secondhand, so to speak.
Yes.
Buy board
Be
is
secondhand
a
equipment.
purchasing co-op, so it's not, yeah, it's not like,
So it's apples and oranges, it's really
Yeah.
not comparable.
It's always something to think about.
yeah, I can do the
But I guess the
research.
short answer is if it's less than 50,000, if it's something less than
Sure.
50,
Yes.
then you could
You could
buy it
know
as long
that
as you had it in
could-
your budget.
You could bid up to 50, that 49,999. If that was the case, but I'll definitely ask the questions and let you know.
That would be good to know. Seems promising.
Well, thank y'all very much. I do
Thank you.
appreciate it. I'm going to hang around to the end, because I know sometimes questions come up later. So I'll be available if y'all have any questions.
Do you have another handout?
Excuse me?
Do you have another handout from my records?
I have to put one together. I don't have it on my computer.
Here, Eva.
Thank you, Rich. Oh, you can have it.
Thank you.
Good job, Commissioner File.
So I guess this is anybody that, y'all can make your own decisions, whether to use them or not. Okay, thank you. Okay, moving right along to agenda item 12. Richard L. Jackson, County Judge, Brenda Trevino, County Auditor. Discuss and possible action on sale of firearm to retiring Deputy Frank Ashton. You have a number?
Yes, so Deputy Franklin Ashton is set to retire on September 30th, unless that has changed. Okay, September 30th. Government Code, Chapter 614.051 allows for the purchase of the firearm by an honorably retired peace officer under 4 conditions. The individual was a peace officer commissioned by the county. The individual was honorably retired from the individual's commission by the entity. The firearm had been previously issued to the individual by the entity, and the firearm is not a prohibited weapon under Section 46.05 Penal Code. And I believe that all of those comply with Deputy Ashton. The code states that the governing body is to establish the amount, which may not exceed fair market value. I got with Sheriff Stewart. He did the research and came back with me with the fair market value of $470. I got the serial number, the make and model of the pistol. I did the research, and that is a fair market value. So the only stipulation is that the sale cannot happen until he is officially retired. So it would be on October 1st that he can take possession of the firearm. So we're asking the court to set the amount and set the approval of the sale.
How long has he been with the county?
Long time.
10 years?
10 years, probably.
Yeah, it's been, I'd have to go back and look, Commissioner Wiley, I'm not sure exactly.
10 to 15?
Didn't he retired Bear County? Now he's retired Wilson County?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the sale of the firearm to retiring Deputy Frank Ashton for $470.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Fowle, that we approve the sale of the firearm to Deputy Ashton. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Are they taking up a collection?
I already did.
Oh, you already did?
Got it, yes.
Already got it? I was gonna donate to it.
If you want to, that's fine. I put in the last 100 and something myself, so if you want
Okay,
to give me some of it.
catch me before you leave. Okay, agenda item 13, Richard L. Jackson County Judge, discuss and take action on Coney, K-O-N-E, maintenance contract for Wilson County Courthouse elevator. Did you bring the contract up with you?
I did not. Can you go to the next one? I get it. I didn't bring it up.
This is a contract we've used Coney for years and years. Bid it out, and they were by far way under any other price that anybody came in. The contract price, if I remember, is $171.22 monthly. If I remember that.
Is this an annual contract or is this?
What's that?
How long?
It's an annual contract.
Okay.
They do all the inspections and everything.
Yes, they do everything.
120 something a month.
$171.22, if I remember. We'll have to check it when she gets back up here with the contract, but that's pretty close.
There's been no issues in the past with their performance?
What's that?
There's been no issues in the past with their performance or anything else?
We've used them, everything has been straight up. We bid it out one year and they were so far under everybody else, it was,
But I know we've had a call before and they've been here right away.
yeah, they're,
They're one of the better elevator companies.
thank you. Oh my gosh, I was wrong, $171.02.
I lost all my faith in you.
Hey,
That was 18
you get a
cents off,
20-cent refund.
Yes.
or 20 cents off. Okay,
You know I'm only okay with contracts.
anybody, Catherine's reviewed this.
I'll make a motion to
I already did.
enter, oh, you did.
Oh, motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve the Coney contract for October the 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2022. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, agenda item 14. Richard L. Jackson County Judge, Michelle Moore, Grants Manager. 14A, discuss and approve the submission of Texas State Library's Digital Navigator Grant application.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. This grant is from the Texas State Library Archives Commission. Nikki found it in order to meet several kind of not so compliant, but kind of compliant issues as far as having librarians that have Masters of Science degrees, Masters of Science in Library Services Education, as well as this and the intent of this grant is to enable Nikki to hire another librarian who has a master's level education in the library field, and to address the connectivity issues, as we have all been previously made aware of in many other grants. So, but she's actually gonna take it on a program level. She has designed the program. If awarded, it looks to be a good one. The grant will not only include the salary and benefits of the librarian, but also equipment, including Chromebooks, laptops, hotspots, that kind of thing. And how that would be administered through her office would be to basically identify some families that are having connectivity issues in the county and provide them with these digital navigator kits. There would be an agreement drafted for those families in order to secure and protect those devices and whatnot, but obviously that would come at a later date. So we are requesting your approval to submit an application, which is due this Friday. There is no local match. The minimum amount award would be $70,000. It goes on up to $300,000, depending on the different branches that we have in the county. She's requesting about a little over $65,000.
Is this a one-time, one-year grant
For now.
for now?
But
Can it be
we'll see.
reapplied for?
I would imagine that the success of the program would determine if the Texas Commission would offer it, and of course, availability of money. It's a brand new grant.
Okay, what I'm getting at is if it's not funded for next year,
Yeah, right, so the position would be.
we're gonna have to
fully grant funded.
add that into our budget.
So the position, if we get awarded, would be fully grant funded, and then the court would have to decide next budget season, if that grant is no longer available, whether or not we want to add that position as a county paid position.
Unless we can get it funded again next
Correct.
year.
And I guess that
Any-
person would be hired knowing that it is a grant position.
At first, we thought we were gonna have to have this position, but we don't. It's kind of an option now. Because we didn't hit the 50,000 population.
And that may determine, they may choose to not award based on that criteria, but it's worth.
I'll make a motion to approve the submission of the grant from the Texas State Library's Digital Navigator Grant.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we approve submitting the grant. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we got, see what we can do there. Okay, now we're going to 14B, discuss and approve the submission of body-worn camera grant program application to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division, Round 4 funding opportunity.
As the announcement says, it is a round 4, so this, I'm assuming is every quarter. I got a notice from the state, from the governor's office indicating that this was an opportunity coming up, and I wanted to go ahead and submit it through court so that it would allow me some time to work on the overall application. Same process as our other grants through the state governor's office. I forwarded it to the sheriff, and the idea is basically to replace all his body-worn cameras. This program is just designed for the body-worn cameras. If there is no local match, it's all 100% covered. And he and his staff has determined about 28 of those body-worn cameras need to be replaced. The cost of them, a little under $900 with a licensing fee, which would come out to a little bit less than $30,000. And it's due November 30th, and of course, it would be carried out within that next year.
Okay, I have questions, I guess, for you and the sheriff both. Is the 28 gonna get everybody one?
It will basically put brand new ones on every law enforcement officer I got working.
Okay,
What I
so that's the
plan on
maximum,
doing-
that's the number you need.
That's the number I need, is right there.
Okay.
Because right now, we have been, I don't know how old the ones we are we are using now are, but they've been breaking down. And refurbished ones are costing me $450 a piece. And I know we've got like 4 or 5 of those sitting on standby right now. So if I can replace these, I can still utilize the ones we have. The jail has none. I need to get some in the jail, and I can use the ones that we're taking out of service that are still functioning and put those back in the jail, so the jail would actually have body-worn cameras also.
Question on the licensing. Does that give anybody any kind of copyrighted rights to our anything, or?
No, I think that's just it's just kind of like any other software. It's basically you're paying to utilize the software in that
Okay.
camera per person, kind of like per computer.
I know what CopSync, if you had CopSync, they had the rights to whatever you had on film.
Yes, no, as far as I know, there's no proprietary right to them through this licensing. It's just giving us the authority to use their software.
Sounded like a good deal to me.
I'll make a motion that we approve it, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner File, second by Commissioner Perdola, that we approve the submission of the body-worn camera grant program application for the Office of the Governor Criminal Justice Division. Thank you. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving right along, agenda item 15, Larry Wiley, Commissioner, Precinct 4, Jim Stewart, County Sheriff, discuss and take action on transferring unused fiscal 2020-2021 funds from the Sheriff's Office and Jail to the 2021-2022 budget. Also transferring equipment auction to the Sheriff's Office budget.
Well, the sheriff gave me a call and told me that he would like to see this on the agenda for today. This is the last opportunity before the new budget year, so Sheriff, I'll let you make your presentation.
I guess I'll skip to the bottom part of it, the equipment. The vehicles that I've auctioned during the last 2-3 weeks have netted somewhat in the vicinity of $26,000, which should be paid for prior to the end of this budget. I know that money rolls into the general fund as it's invoiced to us, and I'd like to be able to get that money on next year's budget put back into my budget in my equipment maintenance, save me from having to use out of my money to upgrade equipment, which I've discussed with y'all before, that we do have equipment needs that I need to address. This will give me one opportunity to use some money that's already in the fund that is not going to negatively impact the general fund, because this is money that has come outside of that. As far as the unused or excess funds in my general budget, I kind of believe I'll have a little bit. I don't know. There may not be any left. I do not know what my year-end budget is going to look like. But if there is any unused funds there, to have it also, through budget amendment, moved over into my 2021-2022 budget would give me more opportunity. And that money's already been allocated to this. It just wasn't spent. And it would also not negatively impact the general fund budget, because according to the audit at the end of the year from the outside audit, the general fund is sitting at 56% of your annual revenue, which is very, very good. And this will not make that go backwards by giving me money that's already been allotted out of it. But I also understand that if for some unforeseen expenses that I'm not aware of, that it would negatively impact the general fund budget, then I wouldn't be requesting it. I only request it if it doesn't negatively impact your general fund budget.
I have a question on the vehicle sales. But
Yes, sir.
I guess I should have asked the other day. You have vehicle sales that you think you're going to get the money this week, I assume.
They should, because all of them have been sent saying they've been paid, they've been picked up, so they should have that money today.
If if the vehicle sales took place after October the 1st, does that go into his budget or does that go into the fund?
No, so if we receive revenue this year by September 30th, that is in this fiscal year, we can't, that would be, if we were to get money after October 1st, then that would be unbudgeted revenue that the court then could consider because the budget's already been approved. So if he's already sold it this year and we're going to get the money this year, then there's nothing more that can be done on that part because it would be revenue coming in prior to September 30th.
And it would go to his department, it would go to?
It goes to the general fund per statute. Correct. I can speak on the first part regarding the transferring of fiscal funds, unused fiscal funds. So in the sheriff's department, I don't foresee there being any funds left over at the end of this fiscal year. There's only $30,029 remaining right now, and we still have about a month's worth of invoices and salaries to go through for this fiscal year. On the jail side, there is $229,000, but that also includes salaries from not having fulfilled all of the positions throughout the year. So the difference in expenses is $21,973.40. So the salaries have already been allocated in his budget, in the new budget. So you take the difference, it would only leave $21,973. And again, we still have about 30 days worth of invoices to do that. So I don't know what the exact amount is. I won't know until October 25th. But even if the court were to consider that, that would be considered a budget amendment. And I would have to have you tell me where we would generate additional revenue to do that. Because revenue, again, has already been budgeted. And then you would have to declare an emergency in order to do a budget amendment. To do that, per statute, there are requirements for the budget amendment based on a public calamity, I believe is the way they call it.
So statutorily, the items from, say, the sales, it goes back to the general fund?
It does. It goes into the general fund, and that's on,
But those are vehicles he paid for out of his budget. Why wouldn't the money go
Came
back
out
to
of the
his?
general fund.
General fund.
Came out of the
gets
general
paid out.
fund.
His department is funded by the general fund. So, local government code 263-156 states proceeds from the sale of surplus and salvage property in the county must be deposited in the county treasury to the credit of the general fund or the fund from which the property was purchased. And they were purchased from the general fund, so the money goes back into the general fund. One thing to consider, it doesn't, monies coming in don't automatically go back to credit the department for where the expense was taken.
Except for the commissioners.
Correct.
Library.
Except for the
Y'all
commission.
have your own part of the ad valorem taxes. The commissioners do, and the library does. Everybody else is funded out of the general fund.
And that's per statute.
So I guess basically what you're saying is we can't do anything at all today because we don't know really the answers to any of the questions that have been posed, and then statutorily, we may not even be able to move that money.
Correct. The only thing that I would say that the court may consider after October 1 would be if the monies from the sale of his vehicles came in after October 1, and you wanted to increase his budget for the new fiscal year by those proceeds, assuming the money didn't come in prior to September 30th, because that revenue would be set for the new fiscal year. Because you have to remember, when Judge and I are working on the budget, we budget revenues coming in to help offset all of the expenses, and that's how our budget is balanced and created. We get more revenue in from unexpected sale of proceeds, it gets deposited into the general fund. The court can consider to do a budget amendment to increase his budget by that amount once the funds have come in.
Well, the state has really set us up for a potential tailspin as a county overall. If inflation continues, then the different budgets for the commissioners, the sheriff's office, could be looking at having less money to spend in a year than they had the year before in a county where we continue to grow. It's,
Well, fortunately, I think for Wilson County, as the sheriff mentioned, we have a good fund balance. The statute that authorizes the court to do what's considered an emergency expenditure for a budget amendment is in the case of grave public necessity to meet an unusual or unforeseen condition that could not have been included in the original budget. So if something came up that you felt was a necessity to the taxpayers of this county, then we could do a budget amendment and pull money from our general fund to do that.
we've done that on a couple of occasions, I think, for equipment that was used countywide.
A roof.
More than one precinct.
I guess it sounds like the smart thing to do is table this till the next meeting to find out when he gets paid, and that would be,
Christina, we haven't received any money from GovDeals for the, because he sold his through GovDeals, I think.
Believe it or not, a transaction did come through and Haley saw this morning. There's one for $51.61. Is that something, what was sold recently that would have?
Yes, that's one of the vehicles. The other ones were picked up last week. Supposedly, they processed on Monday. So today, they should process the 3 other ones that were picked up last week. And that should be ACH transferred sometime this week. So hopefully before, actually for this, it sounded like it'd be better for me if they waited till after October 1.
Yeah, we
But
will, as soon as they come through the bank, that's the day we receive it, we will reflect that the day they settle, obviously, today. With that particular one so far.
Sheriff, and what was the line item that you said that you would use that money to offset?
I would put it in my equipment and maintenance,
Yeah.
vehicle maintenance and vehicle equipment.
So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. So the sheriff is over budget in that line item right now. So technically, that money coming in would offset what he's over budget in that vehicle maintenance line item for this fiscal year. So if we do one way, we've got to do it the opposite way as well, is what I would recommend.
but I guess I'll go back to my question. What action, if any, can we take today?
I don't think you
I don't
can
think
do
we
any
can, right?
until, yeah.
You can't win.
So if you have a transaction in the course in October, November, or December where some equipment is sold, then that is something that's not necessarily, it's something that could be considered.
Absolutely, absolutely. The court would just recognize the revenue and do a budget amendment to increase whatever department budgeted you want to increase from that revenue by that amount.
Okay.
Okay, so suggestions for right now is to wait till next year, or next fiscal year?
Wait and see when the money from this sale, whether it makes it in this week or whether it makes it in Well, Friday's the first, isn't it?
So do we need to table it till next?
To the next court meeting, and that's what I was gonna suggest. If it pleases Mr. Wiley, I'll make a motion to table this item until the next Commissioners Court meeting on whatever that is, October 11th? Is that right?
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley. We table agenda item 15 until, are we going to go ahead and set it on a certain date, or are we going to wait and see?
Let's just wait and see.
What's that?
Let's just wait and see.
My
Okay.
motion was to table till October 11th. You should have the
October
information
11th, okay.
you need by then,
Yeah,
right?
Christina would be able to tell us.
Okay, this is tabled until, this is a motion that's for table until October 11th?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was your second? Okay, is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, agenda item 16, Paul File, Commissioner Precinct 2. Discuss and take action on porta potty for the Mission de la Cabras on County Road 144 tours.
Judge, Ms. Newman gave me a call with the historical, and they're starting to have tours back out at the Mission. I believe the first Saturday of the month. Judge, if you want to,
I'm Sarah Kennedy, the one in Newton is the historical commissioner that you guys appointed, and she asked me to speak for her today on this item. As you all know, the Mission de las Cabras, which is down 97, just past Promised Land area, and then you take County 144 road to the left. And about 2 miles down that road is where we have the Mission de las Cabras, which is part of the San Antonio Missions National Historical Parks. And it is part of UNESCO World Heritage Series now. It's the only one in Texas. And as they have continued to develop that, they are wanting to put more emphasis on the Rancho here in Wilson County because it is part of the total San Antonio Missions. And more people are interested in our Rancho because it is so rustic. It doesn't have any paved roads out there. All of our ruins are still covered with dirt. Some of them are beginning to show again because of erosion. And more people are wanting to come down. Over the past 5 to 7 years, they have offered tours once a month where any group that wants to participate in a tour that is led by the National Parks Rangers, they would meet at the Floresville City Park, and then they would follow the rangers in their own vehicles. The rangers would guide them out to the county road and then into the park. It usually lasts about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And what the rangers have always told the visitors is, if you need to use the restroom, do it now, because there are no facilities out there. And that's been okay up until this point. However, the new superintendent of the San Antonio Missions is Christine Jacobs. She has been here several times, and she is very concerned about there not being any porta potties or facilities out there because they're really wanting to develop it, and that's one of the minimum standards that the National Parks likes to have on a site, is at least have a restroom facility. And so, right now, there is no money in the NPS, National Park Services, to provide a porta potty at the Rancho facility. So they have asked if the Commissioners Court would consider taking on
Did we have a price on that?
Yes, I think the auditor
So
has.
Commissioner File came in and talked to me about it this week. I contacted Texan Services, who is a potty provider for this area. And so to have one portable restroom out there, which would be one of their newer ones, to set it and service it, they would just set it there and then service it once a month. It would be $165 a month. If we wanted them to drop it on a Friday or Saturday and go pick it up on Sunday, it would be $150 every time for the drop. So we're not looking at a whole lot of money. I think I calculated like $1,900, I believe would be for the year. That was the only other question that we had, is not knowing how long the program would be.
Right, and I believe that Christine Jacobs, the superintendent, was trying to get something sort of set in stone for at least 12 months, so that they could set up a schedule for a 12-month, once a month time to come out. And I would really love to see it be serviced, set there and left there the whole year, so that it could be serviced. That way, if National Parks wants to do more than one
It's already
tour a
there.
month. And the way you're setting it up right now is that if anybody wants to go to that once a month tour, they have to go online and make an appointment through National Park Service, and then they are given a list of criteria sheet telling them, this is rugged. Do not think that you're gonna come out here in your flip-flops and sandals and just walk around on pavement, because it's very rugged. And so they have to sign a waiver saying, we understand it's rugged, we understand it's rough, and we understand that we're gonna have to wear closed-toed shoes and long pants and those kinds of things. So it's really a first step, and it's really exciting for Wilson County to finally be recognized and finally have our Rancho getting, I think, the attention that it deserves. And I'm excited about all of the things that it can bring good for Wilson County. As Larry Wiley just said, we are growing by leaps and bounds, and I think it's going to help our economy, it's going to help our school kids, it's going to just help us in so many different ways.
Do they have any idea about how many people are gonna go a day, let's say?
They're gonna limit it to, I believe, between 12 and 15 guests. So one porta potty would probably be okay at this point.
And in order to set that inside the fence, then how would the guy get in there to service it?
That's a very good question, that would have to be considered. I know that National Parks has considered having a local resident or a local person be in possession of that key that could go out there when necessary to help open it anytime in between that a National Parks person couldn't be here. And they're still in the discussion process of that. It may be something that they have already worked through and I'm just not aware of yet. But I don't think that's gonna be a major issue. I think that would be resolved fairly.
Yeah, because I don't think we want it sitting out on the county road. We need to get it set inside there a ways. I mean, you could still have your potty tippers, I guess, but,
And I would recommend that if the county does approve it, that we give, because invoicing and all of that stuff would come to the county, but that we give contact information from the Historical Society to them, so it's not up to I don't know whose precinct that's in, but up to one person here at the county having to coordinate to open the fence to get somebody in there. That's got to be their people to do that, is what I would recommend.
I think the Historical Society could
Yeah.
appoint someone to
Right.
do that on a regular basis.
You're looking at $1,980 if you were to do it for the full year.
and what, or when would you know if they're interested in, or would be able to participate in funding for this?
Mission Heritage Partners meets once a month, and it's usually the last Tuesday of each month, and I think our next meeting is scheduled for October, because they just had a big event this past week. So, the earliest that they would know is probably the end of October. And I can present that for you guys if you wanted to, Mission Heritage Partners.
I think it'd be nice to know what they're willing to participate in.
Yeah. That and, yeah, because There probably needs to be some kind of agreement because the vendor's not going to want to send two different invoices either.
Oh,
Kind of interlocal agreement, if Ms. Chapman could maybe come up with something that could be presented, maybe we could work on that together.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would make sense.
Are they gonna have something this Saturday?
I'm sorry?
Is there gonna be something out there this Saturday?
I'm not sure if they're gonna do it this Saturday or not. I think it was generally, and it just depends on if anybody's signed up online. And I don't watch that probably as quickly as I should, but, that's all gonna be done through National Park Service. And this Saturday, you know, and they're just gonna have to go early or not go.
Well, if the weatherman's right, it's going to be pouring down rain Saturday, so.
They may have to cancel it due to rain, I'm not sure.
What are they touring? I'm just curious. So, like, what's there?
It is.
It's the ruins.
Y'all gotta go out there.
Oh,
The remains of wall.
oh, okay.
There's an big open area where the ruins are. It's actually about 100 acres total. And over the past 14 years, my family and I and several others in Wilson County, lots of families have contributed to rebuilding the trails. And there's actually a trail from the ruins down to the river. And you go down to the river and it's like this giant canopy. You just feel like you're in a cave. It's wonderful. And then you go back up the hill and around and you get to see some wildlife.
Yeah, but
and
Christmas
about
party.
the social significance of it and the
Said, let's have our
how
Christmas
Montana
party.
was so beneficial in helping the missions in San Antonio. They tell you about Maria de los, I forgot her name, I just call her Maria.
De La Zerda.
No.
No, not, oh,
Nancy de los
yeah, Nancy, you're right.
Oh, yeah, I'm embarrassed.
Is there a fee for the tour?
No, there is no fee, it's absolutely free. And the National Parks grounds people go at least once a month and they keep it mowed, they keep working on the trails. They have the National Forest people who come every summer that help work on the trail. With the Preserve America Youth Summit 2 summers ago, we went out there and National Parks gave a tour and it really does increase our economy as well. People come down and they stop and eat lunch here, they buy their gas here, they look around, some of them have bought property here just because they love it. I know some of the board members have said, in retirement, I'm thinking about moving to Wilson County because this is beautiful, and they just love history and historical things that are there. There's just so much that we haven't even begun to tap into with the value of that resource that we have here in Wilson County.
Brenda, where would the money come from? What, out of the contingency line item?
Yeah.
Could we go ahead,
What's that?
could we go ahead and approve it upon them getting with Brenda and Kathy on?
I think it would depend on if y'all are gonna wait to see if they're going to contribute a certain amount. Unless y'all want to approve up to a certain amount today.
I think it's a good point, Commissioner.
They're approved funding what they don't fund.
I think we should delay it.
We want to table this till the first meeting in November and see.
How they're meeting.
We need to probably do it in October, so November.
Well, but they're not meeting till the last Tuesday of October, she said.
That's why I said
You
our first.
said first meeting in
our
October,
first
in November.
meeting in November. Because they're not meeting till the end of October, right?
They may have this type of arrangement with another county that would explain some of the details. They could have an agreement like this with some other county in the state.
Possibly, Rancho de los Cabos is such a unique location. I don't know that there's any place else in the nation even that's quite like the relationship that, National Park Service has with Rancho de los Cabos. It's really fascinating and interesting to sit in and listen to how special we really are and how unique this is to the big picture of the things in the national park and how it's so unique even in the UNESCO World Heritage Sites worldwide. We are unique in what we have to offer. And it's amazing.
But this would just be an interlocal agreement to have both entities paying for the porta potty.
Yeah, because we need to figure out if it's easier for them to pay for it and us to reimburse them or vice versa. Or, I mean, we need to understand that a little bit more. I mean, I know it's not a lot of money, but it's still, they got the way they do things, we have the way we have to do things, so.
Let's just table it.
Yeah, I think that's what we need to do to get the information and not,
Would a
and,
motion need to be made to give, the two entities to work together with?
no. I think we can just provide her direction to work on an interlocal agreement. That's what we would need to approve, so. Right? We don't need a motion to ask you to prepare an interlocal agreement, do we?
Well, yes, I mean, we wouldn't, and then, you know, might approve it and might not. I mean, I would kind of wait to see what what we could do first before we drafted something.
I agree.
I mean, an interlocal agreement would not take very long, but despite its uniqueness, I just can't believe they haven't done something like this with another county.
So I'll back up and say that I think we should table this till the first, what you said.
First
Till
meeting.
the first meeting.
First Commissioners Court in November. Let's see what the other.
Is that a motion?
I make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Perdola, second by Commissioner Wiley, that we table this till the first Commissioners Court meeting in November, to where we can have the information for the interlocal agreement we need. What's the
and
first
see
meeting?
whether they're going to participate.
In November?
So the local agreement would only come into play if they agree to pay a portion, otherwise you'll have to decide
Right.
if you want to pay.
Right.
8th? Okay, motion by Commissioner Perdola, second by Commissioner Wiley. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
If, Judge, if Luana finds one of those companies that gets back with her that is less than the tech stand, then by all means, bring that information to the court. I only call them once.
Okay, moving right along. Agenda item 17, Leanne Hochek, EMC, 17A, permit number 656, Three Oaks Water Supply Corporation, Precinct 2, County Road 216, review and approve. Can I do them all since they're all Precinct 2?
No, because it's two different water companies.
What's that?
Two different water
Two different water
companies.
companies? Well, we can do the first two then.
Yes.
And 17B, permit number 657, Three Oaks Water Supply Corporation, Precinct 2, County Road 208, review and approve.
I make a motion, Judge, that we approve permit 656 and 657, Three Oaks Water.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Martin, that we approve permit number 656 and 657. Is there any more discussion or any questions? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let me go ahead and read the next one, and we can, 17C, permit number 658, Sutherland Springs Water Supply Corporation, Precinct 2. Whoa, Sutherland Springs, okay. County Road 329, review and approve. I didn't know Sutherland Springs.
Yeah, it's right at the edge of there.
They split 329. Judge, I make a motion that we approve permit 658.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Fowle, second by Commissioner Martin. We approve permit number 658. Is there any questions or any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. So that was quick. Thank you.
Now for the troublemaker.
Okay, moving right along to agenda item number 18, Edwin Baker, Health and Public Safety, 18A, discuss and approve activating the burn ban.
So, you know, this time, that time of the year, to get it to burn, or get it to rain, I'm sorry, we gotta do a burn ban. Like the commissioner said, we're supposed to get a lot of rain. Well, the next 4 days after today, we do have a reasonable percentage of rain, 30 to 40% for the next 4 days. Doesn't mean it's gonna rain. So, with that said, now, one thing I will tell you before we go any further with this, we haven't had any big fires that I'm aware of. We have had grass fires start back up, quite a few as a matter of fact. But they've all been small and all been maintained, been able to maintain. So, you know, if we put it on now, we'll have to wait 2 weeks or till the 11th of October to be able to do it if we don't do it today. So, it's up to y'all whether we do. Today, the drought index that's what we go by when we start talking burn ban, most of you know. It's 630 as a high, and this is on a scale of 0 to 800. And it's 630 is the high, 540 is the low, and the average or the medium is 584. Don't try to do the math because it has to do with area and how dry it is, and they put this together. It's way above my pay grade on how to do that. I just used it. So we are above what the state considers in a drought or a burn ban situation at this point. And we're roughly 10 points above it. So if we go ahead with the burn ban, to be honest with you, by the time we get our office set up and the phone line set up and the website set up, it'd be next week before we'd even start enforcing this and actually doing permits. Even though the burn ban is in effect today, if y'all pass it, it could still be next week before we actually are able to start enforcing. Any questions?
I'm gonna put you on the spot. So what's your recommendation based on the current forecast?
I'll go ahead and put it in just in case it doesn't rain, because too many times we've not put it in thinking it's gonna rain and it didn't rain, but for the most part, when we do
It
put
rains.
it in, it rains.
We need the rain.
I think we need the rain.
Yeah.
Somebody make a motion to
Exactly.
activate the
I'll
burn
make a
ban.
motion to activate the burn ban.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, which one are y'all? Second by Commissioner Wiley, that we activate the burn ban. Is there any more discussion?
I do have one more thing to add to this, Judge. It was from a discussion you and I had last year's burn ban about the household trash. That was added in there, so it actually says it on it. Instead of referring to a public health and safety code, it's actually in there that household trash can be burned in a barrel with a screen and being monitored by an adult. That's actually in there. Normally, I just go by health and safety code, but we had too many people going, well, can we burn trash? And I think you called me on it last year, and I actually remembered to put it in. So that way it's spelled out.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
It'll rain now.
I hope.
I did my part,
Exactly.
And we did our part.
and y'all did y'all. That's
You
right.
want this or give it to him?
And without a rain dance.
That's right. Yeah, I'm too
Okay.
old for the naked rain dance.
18B, discuss and approve driveway inspector's position.
About naked rain dance, I just said rain dance.
Wouldn't want to see it.
The commissioners and I, some of the commissioners and I have been talking about driveways and how do we, get some type of continuity and some type of normalcy to how driveways are inspected. As y'all know what we did last year, pretty much, COVID. And it was COVID related, whether it was PPE, whether it was testing, whether it was vaccination, whether it was going to the restaurants in the county and giving them a percentage of what that 25% meant, it being a number, then versus 50, 75, we were pretty busy. Therefore, something got neglected, and that was driveways. And so it's starting to become a problem. I have been working on new driveway regulations for roughly 6 years. And we're to a point now with growth-wise, because we are doing so many permits, we need to do something. Either that or it just doesn't get done. It's just one of those jobs that doesn't get done. And some of the commissioners have said, especially precinct 3, because they're the ones growing the fastest right now, along with precinct 4. It's leaps and bounds out there. And I'm working on I have sent out, I think all of you have received the draft driveway regulations that I did a few years back. I'm open for any additions, deletions, corrections, whatever we might wanna do with them. I know y'all y'all talked about it in one of the previous commissioners' court meetings that I wasn't at, about, running these regs through the subdivision regulation committee. Is that what was said?
Yes.
Something along that line. But anyway, I need input from y'all before we do that, so we can start working on getting, one of the problems we run into right now, in our regulations, it says culvert is the minimum size of a culvert. Upon polling the commissioners, it was like, no, we need to be bigger, 15 wide oval, 18 is a little bit too big. I'm not saying it's not needed, but that's what's been talked about. In some situations, it needs an 18, in some it needs 3 or 4. You know, that's not something that can be just decided without the flow. Now, on the plats, the new plats now, it says the engineers are actually putting driveways on which lots need them. And but they're all 18, and they use 1 or 2. I have been to driveways where you put in an 18-inch culvert, you gotta go up over a hump to get out of the driveway. And that's something we're trying to, I would like to see us avoid, and put, you know, a 15 wide oval, or an 18, or multiple, or larger. It doesn't, you know, whichever. We have a real bad problem with driveways being added after construction's done and the home is bought by the new owners, and we don't know about it. I catch them 6 months down the road, 2 months, well, one I called while he was building it, you know, and told him that it wasn't permitted, and he was like, do something, I don't care. So they ended up getting a letter sent to them, the owner, that was the guy building the driveway. And a letter got sent to the owner. I have not heard back from this owner yet. But it comes down to the commissioners can go in there and rip them out. They can go, we're trying to work with them. I know Commissioner Perdola worked with one guy, because he didn't put a culvert in, which technically he probably didn't need one, but he was on that downhill slope in that sand, and the whole bar ditch washed out downstream. You know, his driveway may not have been a problem, but downstream it was gonna be a problem. And I need somebody who can go out and check on this stuff. I try to get out to these subdivisions that have big growth at least once a week, but there's times whenever it's just not possible, especially with all the septic permits we got coming in now.
Well, I believe a 12-inch culvert is too small, especially in my precinct where we're having these subdivisions built in these sand hills. You got hilly terrain, and that sand is gonna wash, and a 12-inch culvert pipe is not adequate.
Well, you got some 30-something inches already full.
So these people are putting in some 12-inch culvert pipes, and they're half full of sand, and then the water's washing out the edges of the road, and just, we're having all kind of issues.
If you think you need a 12-inch culvert and that's all you need, you don't need a culvert.
That's good.
Because it's more problems than it can be. The problem that we've had forever is, you know, years ago, you and I were out looking at them, and I can't remember what we were looking at, but we found culverts. We also found a driveway that was going to flood the garage they were about to build.
Well, they're building a lot of those nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
bunch
There's
of
nothing we can do about it,
No.
but it's sad these people, when they buy these houses, they don't realize that they could get, anywhere from a 4 to a 13-inch rain in a few hours in this part of the world.
we don't have the ability to police it with the number of new starts that we have, and I'm sure you're the same way. You know, I can't get it. I haven't been fully staffed in a year. And so we're chasing our tail, just doing what we need to do, and always behind. I agree that it is an issue that needs to be dealt with.
Well, I mean, the discussion that we had was to look at hiring that person. It's not currently in the budget, but to fund it with the change in the fees. So we really need to see, the new fee structure, and I know Leanne's been working on it. How close are you to feeling comfortable with?
In our office, in our department, driveways, health, other than the contracted health, are two that we can, Commissioners Court can make a decision on readily. When it comes to septic, it's a whole, moving parts have to go to the state and stuff. I'm not saying it can't be raised, it just takes a lot to get that done. As far as driveways, it doesn't. We actually did change the fees, I wanna say around 10 or 11, 12, somewhere in there because of the oil field coming in. And
12 or
we added-
13, yeah.
Yeah, we added a commercial, type driveway fee.
Probably time for that to be adjusted again.
Right, well, that was the whole deal, is none of the fees have been adjusted in like 9 years, so I mean,
Well, some of our health fees haven't been adjusted since the 90s.
Yeah.
Our health inspector fees,
Yep.
they haven't been adjusted since the 90s.
But of these fees and permits and all that, where do they go?
Goes into the general.
It goes into the general fund to.
I work through the budgeted system now.
Okay,
In other
but
words,
is
I work
this,
out of the budget, out of the general fund.
is this position in next year's budget?
It is
No.
not.
no.
What's the,
Requested on
what,
my request, but
right, and what was the starting salary for this position that you were
this
requesting?
position, I would like to try to find an experienced person with roads that knows the language, that I don't have to try to train, because I'm training a septic inspector right now, and that's taking some time, and I was looking at, around $18 an hour. And that would be for a road person.
Which is, what is that?
And one of the things,
Road, you mean road and driveway?
Well, somebody who is familiar with building roads, like one of the precinct workers would be, one of the road and bridge guys would be.
They know how to measure a culvert,
They know how to
they
measure a
can,
culvert, they know, you know, all I gotta do is give them the rules and the procedures for inspections, and the way I wanna see the inspections go, and I'm all for input in that from y'all.
Now-
These are your roads.
one of the things we talked about also was we're having people put driveways in without permits. We need
Correct.
some type of a fine when we find these people that are putting driveways in without permits. They need to get a permit and also be assessed a fine for not. They think for some reason they come out into the country and build a house, they don't have to have permits.
Yeah, their fees should certainly be significantly more than the standard fee.
well, I mean,
But you have to have somebody
Somebody's
out
gotta-
enough.
You've been doing
To
this.
look at
enforce
that.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay.
And
So
I've had
just-
some of them argue with me and tell me I don't have the authority to.
Just
to
to give you
enforce
an
it, so-
idea, on a $35,000 full-time salary, the county would need to budget a total of $50,919.74, because $15,919 is the total compensation package for the benefits and everything else that we pay. So
That's 5,000 less than I estimated.
Do you know what our permits are running now on driveways?
$100 for a driveway.
But I mean, per year total,
Money-wise,
money-wise total?
We brought in $34,700 roughly.
so you would need to increase that to $80,000 to support.
There'll be some more that come in this
that
week, but it
position.
won't be a lot.
Well, some of that we could fund by increasing the fee.
right,
Well,
but I mean, they all need to be increased across the board, and I mean, and that's, I mean, basically, that's what the revenue for all these inspections and what their department
I just don't have
does.
the time. I just don't have the time.
Right.
Now,
I mean, I
understand,
try,
if you look at the
but
bottom, it talks about the septic permits.
just can't
what
get
we
it done.
brought in Up until Friday of.
2 minutes down
from
this way.
October 1 of last year till Friday of September, last
Two
Friday.
positions today. I don't know how long it's gonna last.
$184,880 is what we brought in. Now, we don't pay the septic inspector that much, so it helps fund the rest of the department too. My estimate also on this, while we're talking money, I should have, let's say, $3,000 to $5,000 left in my budget. If I spend it before, if we approve this position, I'm gonna go ahead and get the computer stuff they need before Thursday. And that way it'll come out of this year's budget and not next year's. And that's gonna save, roughly, I'm roughly $40,000 over payroll is what my department's budget. take payroll out of my budget, there's about $40,000 left. I'm estimating that's gonna cost us about $44,000 in gas, tires, that kind of stuff. We have a vehicle, it doesn't run real well, but, I'm hoping I'll hire somebody that has a little mechanical knowledge and can help keep it running. It has a lot of miles on it, but all of them. I mean, almost all the vehicles I drive are just barely under 200,000, except for that one, and it's over 200,000. And it's a 2006, if I remember right. And, you know, but I agree with Commissioner Martin and the rest of you, if we're gonna do this, we need to raise the fees where it offsets the cost. Which isn't, you know.
So again, I go back to having to do a budget amendment. Should you decide to do that, we would have to do a budget amendment to increase the revenue by $80,000 in permitting fees to amend the department budget in his department to add this new position and salaries.
What would it take to raise $80,000 with the permits and the fees?
It wouldn't take a lot.
Extra, 80,000 extra.
Yeah, but I mean.
Well, it would be a total of 80, because if right now we brought in 34,700, and it would cost the county an additional 50,000, so you're looking at a total of 85,000 in order that would be needed.
Other than what the septic cost offsets. Once again, we don't pay the septic inspector $180,000.
Right, but you have to keep in mind, when we're calculating revenue, we're not calculating revenue by department. We don't say that only septic revenue is used solely to fund your department. It is used for the general fund, which encompasses many departments for this county. So that money is already budgeted in the new fiscal year budget that the court has approved.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about if we're gonna raise the prices, do we raise just the driveway, or do we raise the other ones to help offset some of those costs?
I mean,
Not technically
Well,
having to make.
yeah, I mean,
67.
all of our fees need to go up because they have not been raised in at least 9 years and some of them longer than that. So, I guess appropriate
what do
action,
you do with the guy out there that bought 100 acres, wants to put a driveway? I mean, $100 is pretty much, I think, is adequate just for plain old driveway. Now, some of these subdivisions, that's a little more different.
You tell me, if you want a base material price and a concrete, cement concrete driveway price for permitting, they're totally different in inspecting, I can tell
Yes.
you that. Because if you're gonna do a base material out of the ranch or, out off one of the county roads, you're not doing a concrete driveway with a culvert and all that. There's one inspection probably involved, maybe a meeting with them, maybe not, depending on how savvy they are or what the terrain's like. But when it comes to concrete, it's 2 or 3 at least inspections.
I mean,
And I'm lucky, I don't even get one in for all. I mean, how many do you have in that one subdivision that, I did an audit of it, and there's probably, I don't know, let's say 100 driveways, and 20, 25 aren't right. Because I haven't been able to get out there while they're born,
well,
Well, then they don't
and that-
contact you
And they
either.
don't contact me
Yeah.
either, yeah.
well, and I mean, I think in the quote fine or penalty section, I mean, if they fail to notify us, that ought to be one fine, but I think we've discussed previously that if they put in a driveway without a permit at all, the fee ought to be double, and actually for a lot of what Leanne does too. I mean, if you don't put some teeth into it, but I think we need to just sit down and look at that and figure out what those fee structures are and increase them where they're appropriate. And
I certainly think we could have a fee structure for subdivision development and a fee structure for rural development.
well, but I mean, you could have, I mean, like if I wanted to put a concrete driveway in, that's what, yeah, in a rural area, that's what he's talking about, is that,
And I was just, my brain said a different fee for rural areas, and then my thought was unless, you could have somebody build a really nice house and do a concrete driveway. So if it's just a standard rural, it might be $100. If it involves culvert and cement, concrete, then you're back up to whatever the other one is, because you got the same kind of inspection.
We do the same thing with septic. A rural place, let's say over 10 acres, and not in a subdivision, it's one price. And then there is another price for in subdivisions. And then there's another price for alternative systems. Now, if it's a rural one and it's an alternative system, it's gonna be that price. But we, you know, if it's in a subdivision, don't quote me on this, I think it's $350. And if it's not, and it's out there in, you know, one of the ranches or farms or whatever, it's only $250. That's our permit fee for septic. And then we have an alternative system, which that gets into more detail, there's more stuff that has to happen from my office that deal with it, so it's more than all.
So the question to me is, one, I know we have the need for the position. So do we approve a position and then develop a fee scale? Or do we develop a fee scale and then approve the position?
Do you want to see us?
Well, in my opinion,
That's what I was
you would have to develop revenue, wherever that comes from, whether it's fees or whatever, to be added to the new budget in order to create a new position. Where are we going to pay for it? How are we going to pay for it? So I don't know about adding a new position without having that answer.
But I think it needs to be based on the purpose for the inspection. I don't think it can just be based on whatever the salary is. At least we have to state it in a way that the purpose of the inspection is this, and it takes so much time, and
I'm not following what.
okay, I'm just saying it, I don't think the salary of the individual should be the only thing to determine how much we charge as a fee for the inspection.
Oh, no, yeah, that's completely separate, but they're just asking if we needed to approve the position. I don't see, I wouldn't recommend approving a position without
until
knowing where we're gonna
the
pay,
revenue,
how
right.
we're gonna pay for it.
Well, the revenue estimate that I've estimated, this is just an estimate from my office, for this year is $275,000. How far are we from that?
Well, it's not just an issue about revenue. This is causing a lot of problems out here that we're having to address and that we haven't got solved at this point. We've
Or
got,
problems that should be addressed, but we haven't been able to even, we're not even aware yet that we have a problem because it's not right. I mean, that happens too.
Well, that's all I've been doing for the last couple of years, is going around dealing with problems.
because we don't have the
Whenever there's a
stuff
problem,
in
then I gotta go,
place.
but if there's not a problem, then, you know, I try to make time for as much as I can. But I've traveled most of Forrest's new, roads out in the county. I've traveled some of twos, not many, because there's, usually the commissioner takes care of it. I've dealt with some in Gary's, precinct 1, and then a lot in precinct 3, but that's where these new subdivisions are, and there's more coming.
And we don't know about these problems until they've already happened.
And that's when I find
And that's
out.
because we don't have the
That goes
manpower
back
to check them.
Putting more teeth in the, you know, all permits are supposed to be pulled before they start construction. You know when they're pulled? When they're ready to close.
Yeah.
That's when they're pulled, because then they're calling my office and grabbing at me, because my inspector doesn't have time to run over and do their septic that they just put in and permitted 3 days before that. And that's the problem we're running into, and that's something we need to deal with. You know, am I saying before they even turn a shovel of dirt, they need the permit? Or
Yes.
is it, once construction started, we need the permits in? But we have to have time to review these, there's an approval process, and then we okay them to be built.
They need the permits first, but I don't know how we get that in these contractors' heads.
Well, that's why I say you make a healthy penalty / fine for it, and it's double the cost.
Well, I think maybe more than double the cost.
Maybe, yeah. Leanne, what were you looking at on your side on the development permits and stuff like that? Do you agree doubling it if they don't get it at least?
If they don't get a permit before they start construction, double the permit fee.
I mean, we can certainly look at more, but I mean,
Now, we would have to define what's considered starting construction. Because like he said, just moving dirt, you're not starting construction. I mean, the developers go out there and move dirt, you know, as part of
right.
their pre-engineering process.
I think we figured a good, well, one potential good, if they put up any kind of forms.
Yeah.
Start the
Putting
the
up
form
forms-
for concrete, yeah.
Putting up forms for concrete is okay, but don't pour concrete.
We needed to have this conversation 2 months ago. Because, and the deal is, I'm not disagreeing, we don't need any of this. We don't need the permits. We need the permits raised, we need the person, but it's a budget nightmare coming from what I'm talking about here, because we don't have it budgeted. We're adopted the budget, it's gonna take effect Friday. Is that the first?
He did, just in all fairness, he did request it on his budget worksheet for that. And I talked to the sheriff, but to the judge, but there was no funds available in the budget because we allotted them to other departments.
Yes.
I guess
I mean, I tried to have the conversation. It didn't
Absolutely,
happen.
you absolutely.
my reply
Okay.
to it, Judge, would be, yeah, it should have been in this budget year, but it wasn't. I don't know that we want to go through another 12 months of this because it's a
only
problem.
gonna get worse.
It's a big
Okay,
problem.
Well,
here's a question or whatever, I don't know what you, okay, we're right at the 3.5% revenue increase that we're allowed. Okay, this, I don't know if would or would not put us over that. If we, okay, so we are waiting till the end of, till next year to beat the budget. Okay, now we're gonna add the position and add the revenue and all, so, that's a question that probably needs to be asked your auditors. If we're waiting till after the first of the year and then doing budget amendments and adding money to our budget, can we do that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I don't have the answer to that right now. I have to do some research.
I mean, I agree, we need to do this. And it will change what's budgeted next year also, because we've already added, what, how many thousand? 50,000, 51? Is that what it was gonna be? But that's just for the salary, that's not including anything else, vehicle, all this other stuff.
So the same question then would go back to the earlier agenda item for the sheriff and the Beagles revenue. Because we're raising revenue and raising expenses, we need to make sure then that we're able to do so.
You know, that's, could be a way of them looking at us, we're trying to beat the 3.5%. And that could get us in trouble, and I don't want that to happen.
No, that's not, I don't want that to
That's
happen
not, that's
either.
not the intent.
And I know it's not the intention, but like I said, I wish we'd have,
It was brought up earlier and nothing happened on it.
everybody needs to give your representative a great big hug next time you see him, because we're limited to 3.5%.
We discussed this at length
We did.
on our budget meeting that we had that started at 6 PM. We got into this conversation there and discussed it for a while. I guess, we've got by without it so far, but it's another year of things not being right. It's I can speak for myself. I can kind of speak for Precinct 3 in that neither one of us are where we should be staff-wise. So we can't find the people for the positions that we have, yet he's having to deal with it more than I am now. I've dealt with it some, and it takes momentum out of what it is that we're trying to do to service all the other people of our precincts. And it's a dog chasing its tail because you can never get it right because you don't have enough people and a whole lot of roads.
Well,
One of the possible solutions was here earlier today. The Workforce Solutions people.
for an inspector,
Nah, I'm not so sure about that.
$12 an hour to get the person you want?
Well, but I mean, he's got 3 months to train him. I mean, why wouldn't you? if you can find a guy that's interested in that kind of thing and wants to learn about it, is-
Maybe, I got the feeling there was mostly young people who didn't have,
Yeah, the
didn't have a
maximum age
career.
is 24, which is gonna be hard to find somebody.
it's gonna be hard to find somebody anyway.
The,
Oh, sorry.
oh.
Senior moment.
Well, one of the things I was gonna say is that, yeah, we're talking driveway inspector, that's not all they do, but I had this position once before. And we dropped it when everything slowed down, and there was some major budget cut coming, and I took one for the team and dropped the position, and now come back to bite me, but, they can go out and look at subdivisions whenever they're first starting up and being developed. Complaints that we get on other things, they can help in as you notice, there's a lot of health inspections going on. They can help in that department, as well as depending on if we start getting more and more of we got 2 subdivisions that are just now breaking dirt. Both of them are in your precinct, if I remember right. I think they're both in Cool.
What are they?
Well, there's the one out there on the Moore property, off 775. And then
Okay.
there's one.
Who's developing that?
Moore Estates. I don't remember. We got some, that bought the Moore property that's developed. You may
That's
know.
Larry Gimbler,
Larry Gimbler, yeah.
Okay.
Friesenhahn Gimbler.
And that's what, the one subdivision that we're having so much trouble with on driveways, that's the same thing. It's gonna be in that sand, it's all.
Oh, and that one
Okay.
that one at Moore's is,
Yeah. Yeah, it's on
If we don't get this position right now, how long can you go? And can we do it with a part-timer?
no,
Not right.
it's a full-time job.
I mean,
Okay,
you look
well, I know, but I'm trying to get us by where we can get a position, and then if we have, I don't know where we'll get the revenue to fund it anyway.
Yeah.
Because
We have to
it's,
get it through
one thing we
fees.
need to do is raise our fees. We need to get them brought up to date and
I'll start that and have it ready by the next commissioner's court for you.
add some fines for people that don't buy
Now, that's something
permits.
we'll have to go through the county attorney's office on. It's not a fine, but how much can we, we set permit fees. How do we make them pay more if they do something wrong? I don't know that I call it a fine, because that kind of gets into
Yeah,
the
you
sheriff's.
have to call it something else, but we can do it.
But, yeah, I know exactly that's exactly what we need to do is do.
if they do something wrong,
Well, right now, nothing. Right now, if they put it, I got several driveways out there that aren't permitted. They get letters. If they don't do anything about it, it's up to the commissioner.
okay,
I can't do anything.
And I got
about
one guy in particular, I had a in-person, face-to-face talk with him about permits, and 2 weeks later, he puts in a driveway without a permit. And then the next 2 weeks later, he puts another driveway in without a permit.
that one is
After
real
we
problem.
had that
what
conversation.
are the consequences if you rip it out? You go in there and take it out.
It's on county property. It's unpermitted. Let's get that out.
Take that motor grade blade.
Excuse
real
me,
easy.
Mr. Kimbrough?
We're taking,
He kind of raised his hand, so I'm gonna use,
I've known each other for a long time. We help each other from time to time on stuff. I don't know that there is an answer. You can't charge a fee unless the legislature says you can. So you have to find a statute that gives you the number for the fee or discretion, within limits to raise the fee. Like subdivision plat applications, it says the county can charge a reasonable fee, but it's gotta be reasonable to cover the cost of the fooling with it, the review, the internal stuff, the plat review, stuff like that. Other statutes are very simple. They say the fee not to exceed like $1,000 for a tax abatement application, not to exceed $1,000. On driveway permits, I haven't looked in a while, sir, to be honest with you.
And,
You
I
need
mean,
to look
yeah.
somewhere, somebody needs to look, find out whether there's a law that says it. If there is no law, I'm not aware of any authority
Yeah.
that says the county can charge it. If there's counties from here to the Red River that are, I don't know if it's proper, but it happens. The
Well-
other remedy is to go to court, get an injunction, tear it up. You're in our right of way, you're impeding the right of
know what ends up happening with the few that we have actually, I mean, tried to work with, and threatened and everything else? We finally have filed civil charges against them. But what court does it go to? It goes to the JP court, which, I mean, nothing against the JP court, except even these people know that that's the lowest level of court we have, and that they think they can talk themselves out of it, and we serve them, and they don't show up at court, and it goes on and on and on, and kind of never comes to a final decision on anything happening to them. I mean, we have a couple of pending like that now that have got to been going on, one's been going on at least for 4 years.
Pretty close.
Uh-huh,
Precinct 2.
uh-huh.
Those JP cases are challenging sometimes. I know what you mean, Ms. Chapman. A lot of times, if they're filed, they're just using that as an opportunity to obtain an equitable settlement from both sides, get the driveway out of the right of way. Okay? Get a permit, do it right the next time. Now, I hate to mention this, but sometimes the criminal law comes into play when you're obstructing a right of way.
Maybe.
Statute or two that I remember, my time as a prosecutor, and if you intentionally or knowingly, or I think recklessly, obstruct a highway or other passageway, public passageway, then it could be a criminal offense against the law of the state of Texas. But again, that's not your job, that's the prosecutor's job.
Yeah, and we've actually done that with a couple, and they say, oh, we'll be happy to pay the fine. But then they wouldn't pay the permit fee to begin with, you know, and we've been 3 years with them.
Well, the cause of action that exists for the county in court and civil, district court, be real sure that the county's road has been impeded, that the driveway, the reach over from the property line to the public road is crossing the public right of way. The bordage is part of the road. That's a rule that all country lawyers remember, like me. So the cause of action is for injunctive relief to get a court order to help take it up, remove it. Now, I don't know how many driveway problems you have. It's not the most efficient remedy.
No.
Well, and it may be if we start something new, then we've got to hit the first 5 that happen very, very hard, kind of as a.
I felt like I ought to say something, because I get these questions all the time. I was in office in my home county, as the DA there, I got them all the time. The law's changed since then. There might be a statute out there that sets a fee. I'm not aware of it. There might be a special cause of action. But there's a general cause of action.
Well, I think we need your answer to the judge. He can do that.
Somebody, pull up the illegal or the improperly laid driveway access.
And that's what we're trying to do about this inspector, have someone that can prevent some of these problems before they happen.
Thank you.
No, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Kimbrough.
It seems to me that the judge's question needs to be answered first, because there's no sense in going any further if whatever it is we're trying to do how this in fact impacts our 3.5% increase allowance.
And I will get the final answer on that. I don't think that it will, just because we are allowed to pull money from like from our fund balance in the event of an emergency, and that doesn't go against your 3.5 or whatever the cap is. So, but I will confirm. Once I confirm that, just to let you know for your consideration, so we budgeted $34,300 for driveway permits. To date, we've received $39,000. So you just would have to be comfortable in expecting to receive $84,000 or whatever, $50,000 on top of that is, that you rate, if we're even able to raise the fees by that much to make up the difference.
We'd have to at least double them.
Right.
Well, and the other thing is, that, I mean, we don't even really know how many we have that are not properly permitted, and I'm sure that number's very high.
Well, I can tell you the septic permits for last year, the numbers are quite a bit different from the driveway, and I don't know how they get into their house. Now, I understand there's state highways and federal highways and all that some of these permits are off of. But the lion's share are subdivisions and county roads.
Yeah, you would think 80% at least are on a county road.
Do they know they need a driveway permit?
Well, they're supposed to.
Oh.
Well, obviously, at least obvious to me, what we need to do is have a committee that takes a look at this, takes a look at fees, takes a look at what fees can be adjusted to, and then we come back and address that at that point. If it's something, in my opinion, that we can fund or come close to funding, then we need to consider it just because of the problems that it poses. But I think we need to have a clearer view of what it's going to be. And I don't know if we hire this individual, one, the person should be out making certain everything is right, but being out making certain everything is right, you should also be paying attention to other development and do you have all your fees? Which is going to be a pretty aggressive job.
Yeah, you're talking about doing a penalty. That was the word I was looking for a while ago. A penalty for starting construction prior to obtaining your permit, then somebody's got to be able to say, this started this day. You know, and so that way we have some type of proof.
Well, that person can be the complainant. It depends on where he has to file.
Yeah.
Maybe he has to file it with the sheriff's office, file it with, I don't,
Well, it'd be criminal or civil, one of the two, right?
well, okay. The driveway permits, are they
Well, the first
addressed
step
in
would
our, are
just
they
be-
addressed in our subdivision committee?
So if I pull up to your house and I say, sir, you haven't obtained your driveway permit, you need to go see this man and get your driveway permit. If I comply, that's end of story.
Yeah.
But if I don't, well then,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to go through the process. And some of them.
And you're gonna have to go through the process on some of them to let everybody else know
Right.
that
Oh, yeah.
they mean business.
The driveway order, Judge, is a county order, it's not a subdivision regulation.
It's a county ordinance?
Yeah, because of the county roads where there are no subdivisions.
Okay, how did we get a county ordinance like that?
It was in effect whenever I went to work for the county.
Because counties can't have ordinances.
Well, it's an order, it's a portal. In other words, Commissioners Court approved driveways and charging a fee for them. And I think it was $25 at one time.
Okay, so
When
it'd
I
be
went to
a,
work with the county, this was in
it'd be a
place.
civil penalty.
Yeah, and then it wasn't a penalty, they charged for a permit. And the fire marshal actually that was his other job. When I was working for the county in the health department. And then, of course, the fire marshal went away and I took the position for a few years. And, but anyway, that's been something that's been around. It was around with permit inspections, and with septic inspections and permit fees and health inspections and permit fees. It's always been there since I've worked for the county. And I know the original septic order through the court was done in either 89 or 91. Or it was done in 89 and it was revised in 91. Because when I went to work for the county, I had to research all that. And I found it in the county clerk's office in the minutes. Same thing with the animal control stuff. I had to go through that, and it's in there somewhere. I don't pretend to know exactly where it's at, but I know it's there. We do have a new septic order that was
Okay, that's addressed in the health and safety code.
Correct.
Because before the county can do an ordinance, they'd have to already be in a statute somewhere.
So I will start looking at permit fees on my side of the house, on what I need to do and what's gonna get us there. Now, one of the things I'll say is, when I do the permit fees, I look at them all added together. I don't look at each individual one supporting each individual person or each individual position. That's the way I normally look at permit fees, because there are times, whenever things slow down, and just like before, when it slowed down, I cut the one position.
But still, like Brenda said a while ago, this is funded out of the general fund. Those fees and permits aren't funding those offices. Those fees and permits go into the general fund.
And then the general fund is funding the offices.
What's that?
And then the general fund is funding the offices.
Yes.
The budget. But as long, I'm happy with myself, as long as I'm putting more money into the general fund than I'm taking out of it. That's what I look at.
Yeah.
Well, we need to look at a new fee schedule. I guess you need to do some research with that.
I'm gonna check the counties around us and see what they're doing.
And then we need a number so that we can make a determination, it seems to me. I don't know if we need a committee to do it.
Well, I mean, I was just gonna bring that back up. I mean, I don't know why you couldn't do it in the subdivision committee or start there. And then, I mean, if that's what y'all wanna do, it doesn't,
Yeah, I mean, we could.
but I mean, if you wanna get, I mean, because they're posting all their meetings, so any of us that wanna attend that can.
You can, I guess you can participate, you just can't vote.
Yeah, just can't vote, right, yeah, so, I mean, so all of her agenda items, just say that there may be a quorum of commissioners attending that meeting, so they're all posted, so any of us that want to attend that can. And yeah, we can participate in the discussion, just can't vote because we're not on the committee.
Sounds good.
Also, in the meantime, Ms. Chapman, can you research the legality of us raising the rates on the driveways?
I know we can raise them, I'll see what.
But I guess the other big thing is the penalty side of it.
Penalty would be the issue, yeah.
If we can assess a penalty.
For not obtaining
I
a
think
permit.
I will look at that, but I think we're gonna have to call it something else.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, so
Is that horse dead? Or I guess I'll make a motion to table this till we have additional information.
Second.
motion by Commissioner Martin,
Before you leave,
second by Commissioner Perdola, that we table this driveway inspection position until, did we make a,
I said until we have further information.
okay. Tabled until further information. Good enough? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
get that horse up and get him out of here.
Okay, moving right along. Agenda item 19, Christina Moots, Interim County Treasurer. Financial reports again. You don't have any? Oh,
I don't actually for August. I'm waiting on one transaction that is an error with the bank. So as soon as that's completed by this week, fingers crossed, I shouldn't see any problem with that. I will have August as well as September for October 11th commissioners court meeting. But it's just one little minor transaction that we're waiting on to fix, and that's it.
Sounds good.
It's been reconciled yet, but
okay,
other than that, I will have it for next commissioners court for sure.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along to agenda item number 20, Jalen T. Bodiford, Human Resource General Specialist, payroll and personnel changes. Brenda, you've got this?
Yes, Natalie Dominguez was hired as a corrections officer for the Sheriff's Department, making $14.65 an hour or $32,000 annually, effective September 15th, 2021. Charles Wagner was hired as a corrections officer, making $14.65 or 32 annual, effective September 15th. Rebecca Scriven, I believe that's how you say it, was hired as a permitting clerk for the EMA office, making
That's what I was thinking.
Okay, Jalen has permitting clerk, so. Planner? Okay, Rebecca Scriven was hired as an EM planner for the emergency management office, making $17 an hour or $35,360 annually, starting September 20th, 2021. Brandon Aguayo was hired as a corrections officer, making $14.65 an hour or $32 annual, starting September 13th.
Thank you. Those were all in budget, so just informational. Okay, now we're moving along. We're making progress. Agenda item number 21, Brenda L. Trevino, County Auditor, bills.
I've got a total of $229,334.62. Nothing really too much out of the ordinary on these. A couple of ones that stepped out were just the autopsy invoices from Nueces County that are very expensive. Planning judge and I have already spoken about that, so, other than that, there's not really too much out of the ordinary. And you will see that the Comal County, the senior citizens invoice in there as well. 2,100 of it where it was budgeted from, and the remaining 4,100 or 42 in the non-departmental contingencies.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley. We approve the bills. Is there any more questions or any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then we have the bills. Y'all want to take a few minutes before we do the next agenda item?
Yeah, a couple of minutes.
I'll make a motion to make, what, a 5-minute recess?
Yep, 5 or 10.
10, let's make it a 10. Make
Okay.
a motion to take a 10-minute recess.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Martin, second by Commissioner Wiley. We take a 10-minute recess. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're 10 minutes. We'll be back. Oh. Then you can go, Mr. Kimbrough.
You set your timer?
You got it.
Do we need to get something, Mr. Kimbrough, do we need to get something printed out? Sir?
You want to pull it up here?
Okay, we haven't got any way to,
The computer's there.
okay, but it's in my emails downstairs.
Oh, you would have to
I mean, we'd have to forward it to,
Once we start talking about a letter and the attachments, and opening it, it's no longer attorney-client, it's out there in front of everybody, which is just fine. You know, go into closed session, which I recommend that you do later, after I talk. So we can discuss some things and answer your questions within the attorney-client privilege. The paper documents are fine there. You got the paper documents.
And I'm not familiar, whenever I get the code.
no, I didn't print them out. I just sent them to I just looked at mine on my computer. I don't, sir?
They have them on their
Becky, I'm sure most of them can get them, but I could get, my coordinator to print them out. If you would like, let me go do that right quick. You think it would be,
My booty didn't fit me there, sorry.
okay.